Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome to the grand finals of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2024. Here in the bottom left, spawning as our blue Zerg player, playing for Team Basilisk, the one, the only, Cyril. And in the top right, we have, playing for Team Vitality, Mr. Maru. The rank 7 of the EPT rank versus the rank 1. As Cyril, of course, is the rank 1 in EPT points. It's going to open up here with a 15 hatch. This is a cool little match. Intel Extreme Masters Katowice has been our world championship for the past, I want to say 4 or 5 years. I think 2019 was the first time it became the world championship. But now it is not actually the world championship anymore. This is still, in my mind, the unofficial world championship. But the real world championship is going to be held later this year at the Esports World Cup, which is an absolutely terrible name for a tournament, but it is. That's what it has come to, you know, the Esports World Cup. So that's what the real tournament. We used to have BlizzCon, then the IM Katowice World Champ. Now we're gonna have an Esports World Cup winner. This sounds like it was made up by someone that heard about esports for the first time in 2022. But it's the fate of StarCraft II. Is that it's going to be the Esports World Cup. All right, what do we have over here? There's going to be the official World Championship, but in my heart, Intel Extreme Masters Katowice will remain the unofficial World Champion. So a little best of 7 here between these two players, and I think this is the first time that they're truly facing off in such a fashion for a very, very big, big prize, as well as a big amount of cash, of course. First place goes home with $150,000. That is more than most people make in a week. So that is a huge amount of cash here on the line. Maru decides to open up with a Reaper Scout. Well, it's not just a scout, of course. This Reaper, it has the ability to do many things. It can shoot. It can get attacked by links. It's gonna actually get 2 links here, most likely. Not the greatest start for Cero, who wanted to run these around. It's not gonna be getting that run around. It's not gonna get that free scout that he wanted. Cero is getting the gas mining. It's of course gonna be a little bit later. This was a 15 hatch. Second refinery starting here as well for Maru. Maru's gonna open up with a little bit of aggression in this best of 7. And I like it, trying to decide the pace, you know, saying, hey, I want to be the guy in charge, Cyril. You're going to have to respond. Cyril, of course, completely fine with responding. That's what he's known best for. He went for the double overlords here. 2 more queens as well popping out right now. It's hardly built any links, just that the initial set of links, which did get taken out. Gonna have to wait what the aggression is going to be out of Maru. So far, 2 cars instantly start as the starport gets thrown down. Tech lab starts building as well. Could be for a couple of things, most likely a swap between the barracks and the starport, just purely based on the positioning of that third structure that Maru has just built. Roach Warren gets thrown down, as well as 2 more gases. Now, Cyril used to have a build order where he'd go for a quick Queen Roach play, where you get the Overlord speed. I think it would need to start at right around this point. Get the Overlord speed, put 3 queens in an Overlord, and just start queen dropping your opponent, while at the same time hitting your opponent with a bunch of roaches at the front. This is particularly strong against Banshee builds, although it doesn't quite... Oh, there we go. Yeah, it might actually be what's happening here. This is a build that I first recall seeing versus Clem about a half a year, now maybe even a little bit longer already than half a year ago at this point. 7 or 8 months ago, we saw this build. I think it's a 3 or a 4 queen drop that he went for, and then a roach attack. Now, I recall it being with roach speed, but we are not seeing it researched at the moment. This could be a mistake, or it could just be that I misremember exactly how that build order is supposed to be played. Stim starts, it is single Banshee into second Banshee, so really double Banshee. Third CC being thrown down on the low ground. Pneumatized Carapace here is about to finish up. I actually think this is a mistake here out of Cyril. If you're Maru at this point and you see the Overlord speed finish like that, isn't that just a huge tell? When do Zergs ever get Overlord speed from 2 bases? That is not a very common play at all. Now these roaches are being spotted as well by the Hellions, and I think Maru was going for that scout. I don't think Maru wanted to deal damage with this. He was really just scouting. Banshees are going to be thrown back, as we'll have probably a bunker or 2 being constructed. We're gonna keep an eye on the main base as well. Make sure that nothing lands in there. Ideally, we'll have some type of depot on the edge. That is not quite happening yet. CC hasn't finished yet. Maru would love for this CC to finish. A little bit late with the bunker response. Is he starting any tanks quite yet? No, not entirely. This Overseer is tanking quite a bit of damage. Now, there are some transfuses available, of course. The Banshee control so far phenomenal here out of Maru. As a creep tumor gets thrown down, depots will be blasted here. Drones behind this. This is not necessarily an all-in. This is a very heavy pressure here coming out of Serral. But so far he's been dealing quite a bit of damage. Command center now burning as well. As these bunkers under some heavy fire. First bunker gets taken out by the 4 Ravager Biles as well as the Roach attack. 5th Ravager shows up. Continues to attack as 7 workers going down already. 1 Banshee gets taken out. There's only a single Queen remaining. And that means that if that Queen gets taken out without the Banshee dying, that's going to be the end of this push. Serral, sloppy control, loses the final Queen here to this Banshee. I guess there was no Overseer anymore. Overseer got taken out there in the chaos of the situation. And that means the end of this push, which is interesting, because it feels like there was more potential. Had those Queens and Overseer stayed alive, there is a very decent chance that Serral would have just won this game straight up. But instead, he's going to need to take it into, well, either a mid or a late game. He's already on 72 workers, double evos on the way. Roach speed starting as well. This is looking very powerful here for Serral. He's up about 30 supply, up about 31 workers. Not that far behind in upgrades either. It's probably gonna... Ooh, it's actually gonna go for range. That does surprise me. I would have almost expected him to play melee behind this because we're already seeing the upgrade for the Zerglings, the metabolic boost upgrade. Now, one of the things that Serral is seriously lacking currently in this setup is that he doesn't have a lot of Queens, and that means that he doesn't have a lot of creep spread. This is not because he has bad mechanics, it's because the Queens that were supposed to be spreading creep were basically in the Overlord, trying to kill the opponent. So, next Overseer goes in, just for a cheeky little scout. Wanting to see, hey, where are your E-base? Well, like, where are we at in the game right now? Serral not scouting anything extra in the main. Probably wants to go towards the natural at some point. See if there's barracks 4 and 5. If there's an armory out yet or not. Roach is setting up on the far right here, making sure that his base can't get cancelled against the surprise marine drop. It could be hitting from the far right. It's not what's happening though. Maru is planning on going in towards the main base with these double drops. 16 marines do get spotted, and that means that this Overlord might just end up falling. Good stutter stabbing. As one scan is gonna take care of these. Ooh, actually misses the active tumor. That's perhaps a bit of a blunder there. 1-1 is about to finish up for these marines. They're gonna fight just a bit better. We get the boost in towards the main base where there are no spores quite yet. We do have a hive on the way, as well as more links. 81 workers for Serral against the 56 of his opponent. It's like Maru is not in a great position. A little bit slow with that bunker response. A little bit late maybe with getting that first tank. And overall, of course, Banshee is exactly what Serral wanted to play against. And that's exactly what Maru went for. We have... ooh! He's going for that on-the-map creep spread here with the Overlord. This is one of these things that people keep mentioning as something that they'd love to see more often in pro play. Is just getting a queen, 2 queens in an Overlord, and just start spreading creep in the middle of the map. And connect your creep in that way. So you kind of spread 2 ways rather than just 1 way. And Serral has, of course, the APM to do that. And right now is executing that. He definitely is. Weird scan out of Maru, not entirely sure what that was for. We're trying to spot the movement of his opponent. 83 workers still against 66. About 1,200 minerals and 1,100 gas in the bank. What's the link count? That is at 46. 2 more Vipers as well. Ultralisk Cavern. 40 more seconds on that. I mean, it is just a completely asymmetric game, basically. That's just what it is. We're looking at this, and Maru right now is like, he probably wants to attack or do something, but he can't. Like, these timings just don't match up at all. Vipers are gonna be out. In my mind, if Serral decides to move across the map with a relatively normal Baneling count, I'm not even talking about 50 or 60 Banelings, really just 25 to 30 Banes with these Vipers, goes across the map. Maru should have a very, very difficult time defending this. Maru continues trying to be active on the map, keeping some of these units at home. That's one of the things you shouldn't forget about, is that because Serral has such a large worker count, is that leaving units at home, supply-wise, can be quite expensive, right? You leave 20 supply at home. If you only have 100 active supply, that is 20% of your army. That's a pretty big deal. Now these drops are returning back home, and this is exactly what Serral wanted. Of course, losing these roaches isn't exactly what Serral wanted, but it allows the opportunity for the right side army to start moving forward. Sensor tower does spot it. Good split here on the tanks as well. SCV's being pulled away instantly. Interesting blinding cloud there. It's going to hit one tank. Another blinding cloud hits the second tank, as these tanks are just barely going to get shot. Depots will get taken out. At the same time, roads run by here over on the fort base. Still have a lot of links in the main just patrolling as well. Would love to just see these links join the fight. Have a couple of spores instead, because that's quite a bit of supply that is being wasted patrolling in the main base. First 3 Ultralisk on the way, as Maru probably wants to set up a bit of a campy game. See if he can get there. Maru so far in this tournament, by the way, has looked phenomenal when camping. Absolutely fantastic in general in the late game, but this is not a fair late game. Alright, this is not a fair late game at all. This is if Maru is doing one of these Iron Man challenges, you know, and is an hour behind his opponent as he starts with the running portion, which I think is the last portion of the Iron Man, or the triathlon. Look at his first swimming, then biking, and then you end with the running. So being an hour behind there, it's not that Maru is a bad runner, it's just that Maru he's too far behind. Should work on the swimming a little bit. That seems to be where Serral shines here. In the first 10 minutes, managed to carve out a nice little lead. A very neat one indeed. As the Greater Spire starts already. Like, it feels like Serral is just pretty much boosting himself into the late game. And Maru is not entirely sure where he's at. He's still getting barracks 6, 7, and 8. Like, this is so insane. The difference in where they are in their life right now when it comes to the tech is just not normal. This is like the Bronze Age versus year 2500. And Serral's gonna push in over here. With the claws of the Ultras and the explosions of the Bane. It's gonna take out a planetary, and there's no serious backup bases. We have an orbital, but that's it. It doesn't really give you a whole lot. These Banelings still trying to connect. This looks a little bit scary for Serral though. He's pushing a bit hard. Maru's gonna push this back. Takes a pretty decent engagement, I think. Overall, Maru's engagements have not been bad. He's just down in bank, and he's down bad. Doesn't have these extra orbitals either, which is something that you definitely do end up needing as a Terran. Extra orbitals, extra command centers. Serral continues expanding forward. Complete control of this game. And like a snake, like a boa constrictor, he's squeezing every little bit of oxygen here out of his opponent. Just creep at every base. Bases at basically every base. This is absolute insanity as Serral just continues dominating and he doesn't let go of his opponent. 105 links here, moving towards the top left side of the map. Gonna try to activate a couple of these mines. Not working, as the majority of the army is there. Serral probably wants to find another angle. He's gonna take out these rocks, and this is something that maybe he waited a bit too long with, because this opens up a beautiful rotational path here for Serral outside of sensor tower range, which is super important, right? Taking out these rocks allows you to quickly rotate from here to the outside without being spotted necessarily. So then you can also just go back in, and here Serral is moving in. He doesn't have any catch, no infestors nearby. Banelings being spread away. Piles are gonna hit that turret. Good play there out of Serral. Very good play there out of Serral. But doesn't actually get the kill, as Maru now starts to stabilize. Is growing his ghost count, going up to 7. Is growing his tank count, which is up to 4. And Liberators are being added in as well. Extra turrets, extra mines. Defensively, Maru has been set up much better now than he has at any point during this game. The problem is just that he isn't mining a whole lot. He doesn't have access to this 5th base, which Serral is taking right now. He doesn't have access to either of these bases either. I think this is in a way even more unrealistic for Maru to try and take. He's trying to at least deny a little bit of creep there, but we see the queens moving over instantly. We'll plop down 2 more creep tumors. As Serral says, hey, this is my side of the map. And then Maru's like, oh, what side is mine then? Serral says, there's none, my friend. As he bursts in here with a bunch of Banelings. Not actually attempting to kill that orbital or the workers very much, just straight up trying to trade out army. And that's working much better than I had initially anticipated. Tank and mine count here, not as high as on the other side. And as there's no planetary, this position actually wasn't that fortified at all. We have a burrowed infestor here as well, which could later on become very useful if it decides to move in forward just a bit. Just a tiny bit is all we need. 23 workers going down, 130 supply to 186. As we have a bunch more upgrades happening here for Serral as well. Ghost count right now at 9. Yeah, I think one of the issues here is just that we don't quite have a maxed out army for Maru. Even if he were to fill this up with just like Marine Marauder, that'd be better than not having that. But he just doesn't have the cash available. He doesn't have any turrets anymore either. Which does mean that these infestors could become very useful in the next engagement. And there we go. Infestors moving in forward. He's gonna try and get something done. Look at that. Look at how much info he has. There's no neural parasite quite yet. So it's just going to be a fungal. Can't be a neural parasite. Oh, that's a very good scan. As both of these infestors get EMP. That was hugely important here for Maru. Otherwise the game would have just straight up ended. But even without that, this is not a great fight here for our Korean Terran, who might actually end up losing one of these command centers. Is indeed going to lose one. Snipe's trying to go down, but the Corruptors are a little bit too quick in their retreat. Serral takes another one of his opponent's bases. So that's going to be the second of his opponent's bases. This one isn't really mining, but I don't think Serral actually cares, as his bank is huge and Maru still isn't maxed out. Once again, does creep up there though, 153. But as his bases are starting to run dry, with both the main and the natural practically not mining anymore. This bad boy, a couple of patches running out. Here we still have some full patches. Maru's going to decide to push out. He wants to get that 5th base. Yeah, Serral comes in with a Link Corruptor attack. He's going to take out his 4th. It's great if you want the 5th Maru, but your 4th isn't even secure yet. It's going to lose a lot of workers. And it feels that Maru is completely all in at this point. And Serral, he's further away from being all in than he's ever been in his entire life. He has so much cash in the bank. He has, I mean, this just feels impossible for Maru to do anything. Once Serral gets a hold of a game, he just doesn't let go. That's the issue. There are other players that maybe would give, you know, Maru a bit too much time, or that would give Maru a good fight or two, but not Serral. Serral doesn't give him a single fight here. Absolutely relentless in the pouncing on this Terran army. As his Baneling count is healthy, he still has a decent Ultra count, has Corruptors for the Liberators as well. And Maru just doesn't have the supply. Maru, once again, is going to try for a push out, but without mines here, without a high lip count. Yes, 3 mines. I don't think that's enough here. You're going to need 8 or 9 if you want to make a push out like this. Serral, yeah, he clears half of the mines before they shoot. He just absolutely walks over Maru here in game number 1 as he secures himself a lead. It is unfair to judge Maru in that last game. It's that you can't say, oh, Serral outplayed him in the late game, because we never got a serious late game. In a way, I'm actually very impressed by Maru's ability there to stay alive. His ability to almost stabilize time after time again. It's not easy to do that with such a poor start. I'm going to be playing here on map number 2 called Rådhuset Station. This is to be considered one of the best Zerg maps in the entire pool. Which is funny, because whenever I see it played, it doesn't actually feel that good for Zerg. I mean, it's good, but it's not crazy good, or at least it doesn't feel crazy good to me. Because the initial attack paths that Zerg has to deny a 4th are almost non-existent. It's all going to be about the 5th. When I was talking with Lambo about it, he said, yes, that's true, but the 5th is so much more difficult on this map than on any other map, is that Zerg just has a lot of freedom. They can easily take the Terran side bases, so they can expand to these, for example. Or sometimes if the Terran takes the bottom side here, the Zerg can expand to a base like this. And then a 5th base for a Terran is so freaking hard, because these areas are so darn open. Something to always keep in mind is that Maru, of course, is a different breed of Terran when it comes to the late game. In this particular tournament, I'm not sure if he even played late game against Raynor. I don't actually think he did, but he freaking destroyed Raynor. Some neat little mech as well that we saw there. CC first, into Marine, single gas. So, yeah, this smells like a quick third CC eventually as well. It's not a double gas opener. Even with double gas, we often see a fast third CC as well when it comes to this type of build order. Marine into reactor. Theoretically a risky build. And also in practice often a risky build, but it's a build that probably is gonna work. Where he doesn't know where to put the CC or what. What is he doing? Oh, he believed he couldn't get those minerals back. Oh, like, what's this SCV up to? Fast overlord speed. Very fast overlord speed. This is something that Serral has been doing against CC first quite a bit. And I think his reasoning is solid. I think his reasoning for it is good. So there are a couple of builds with CC first that are really difficult to scout and difficult to hold if you don't scout them. So there's a lot of 2 base all-ins going around, like into 3 Rex tank pushes, but also things like double starport battle cruiser. That sounds like a meme, but it is something that the highest level Terrans, including Maru, have played. And it can be hard to hold. So the overlord speed, it allows you a lot of freedom. If you scout, for example, that your opponent went for a fast triple CC here, you know exactly what you need to do to hold it. You know the exact drone counts that you need. Yes, it is a pretty big upfront investment. But look what Serral did. He said, I'm gonna cut my link speed for a little bit to get the overlord speed instead. Because, let's face it, Hellions just aren't that scary on this map. Because there's just a single entrance. Well, actually, there's 2 entrances because Serral took the forward base. It's gonna mine this patch. This is the Serral move. He does this because it allows the creep tumor to continue spreading creep downstairs. The more you know. Ooh, look at that. Skipping the speed here as Maru decides to commit with the cars. Gets 3 drones. I'm not sure how happy Serral is going to be with that. He's going to end up losing an Overlord as well to 2 Cyclones. Loving the play here. Oh my god, it's triple CC into double eBay. Double eBay has been scouted though. This was such a huge scout. This is so nice to have. It's going into 4 gas. What? I guess you need a lot of gas if you're rushing out upgrades like this. For a second I was afraid it was like a double eBay fake into mech. But that makes absolutely no sense, of course. That's why I was so confused. I hadn't even considered that. But the gas count is going to be so high. Or the amount of gas required to continue upgrades is so high, right? You're going to need a quick armory. You're going to need to have gas ready for these 2 to upgrade, while also continuing to get a starport, while also trying to get medevacs out. All of these things cost a lot of gas. So getting these extra gases before the barracks, while usually would indicate mech, here actually indicates, well, just that nothing. It's still bio. It's just, hey, I need the gas. That's what it indicates. Like a need for gas. And a need for speed. Maru had a decent eco, moving in here with 2 Cyclones. The reason, by the way, why he probably built these 2 Cyclones is because often on this map, Zergs will go for a link speed skip or even play completely gasless. And having 2 Cyclones in that case is absolutely huge. However, Serral plays it safe and is going to catch every single Cyclone here, I'm pretty sure. Still chasing that Hellion as well on the left side. Is going to get that taken out. And we'll just blast it. Ooh. 1 Cyclone remains alive, though. I'm honestly impressed by Maru's ability to keep that there. 2 more reactors popping out, too. So we have the lair here on the way. Very late for Serral. And although the standard on this map is to play Muralisk, the lack of this 6th gas makes me believe that's not what we're going to see at all. So then there are 2 realistic options. We either could be playing Ling Bane and then trying to tech fast into a hive and maybe go for some type of ultra play, or it could be a Hydralisk then still. And I could be wrong. I am not super familiar with the exact gas counts, but I think usually with 5 gas we're going to go into Hydras. But I'm just not entirely sure about that. It could also just be because you get 2 fast evos. And the specifics there, I'm a little bit blurry on. Oh, Baneling drops. Baneling drops here. Serral versus Maru. Let's see who's quicker in the response. Well, turrets are already done, so that's a nice setup. Maru realizing that a way often utilized on this map to try and break the 3rd base of the Terran is to go for big link drops. This time Serral heading out with a Bane drop. It's going to be a Hydra then. I was going up to a high gas count. Straight up to 7. As this drop, I think, went unscouted. And this is the creep tumor I was talking about earlier. Let's take away one of these mineral patches and you'll be fine. Nope. There's freaking turrets everywhere here, buddy. I'm not sure if Maru actually spotted this drop yet. Doesn't have any marines in position to quite deal with it. Just gonna go in the first person view of Maru. Sees an overlord moving in. Thinks it's just a scout most likely. Now he realizes, pulls units away. It's gonna force a little bit of lost mining time. These banelings don't quite have baneling speed yet, but they will in a second or so. Here they come rolling in. Marines are gonna help out. These banelings are, well, maybe still gonna get the hits actually. Look how long they've been around. That's gonna be 6 kills. That is not bad at all. A lot of mining time lost too. As Maru in a little bit of money trouble there. Look at the 3 arrows immediately, both on gas as well as on minerals. That's so funny to me. 5th base here under fire, but Maru will not be capable of taking it out. No spores at any of these bases means that these drops are difficult to deal with. 2-2 is about to finish up as well. That means that these drops will become even harder to deal with. But right at that moment, as the 2-2 finishes, Maru decides to pick up. We continue to drop here. As we have some multitasking madness coming out of our South Korean Terran player, who's playing a much better game so far here. Or is in a much better position here than he was in the previous one. Not sure if he's playing much better. Hard to say sometimes. 8 drones have been taken out. That's good damage. It's not the end of the world for Serral, who's already at Hive. He's actually skipping the Hydras, by the way. The Hydra den seemed like a... I don't know what it seemed like. Like a bit of a token Hydra den. Maybe eventually to move into a Lurker den. Rather than really to spam Hydras. This is a Viper Rush. Okay, now we see the Hydras coming in as well. So an interesting order of operations here coming out of Serral, where usually we see a larger count of Hydras initially with the Ling Bane. We're now just seeing these Vipers being added in. So that is indeed very different. We still have an 8 Ling drop as well. And I think Serral has managed to identify a weak spot in this turret defense. And that's mainly where there is no turret, which is at the bottom part, as well as over here, of course. Ling drops could definitely deal some damage. We have a minor Ling attack going in towards the 4th base. As the 6th of Serral is under fire, it gets cancelled. Drone gets to stay alive, though. Not that many units are here. We have a couple more drops happening at the same time. Mine drop over at the 3rd base is not going to get a hit in. Double medevacs in the main. One of them still with 5 Marines. As this is going to get cleaned up, Maru will be forced to retreat, at least temporarily. It might still be scary, by the way, because he doesn't have the medevac count to pick up all of his units. Ooh, a couple of fungly boys now moving on the map as well. Should be visible, by the way, here. This is always fairly obvious to me. I'm surprised that Maru hasn't spotted that yet. He should be somewhat looking at it. I think he's aware. He all of a sudden moved there. But it feels like he should be aware. I think he sees it, right? No? Okay. Doesn't see it. It's gonna lose a couple of Marauders. We have a Ling drop heading indeed towards the natural. Here at the 4th base, there were a couple of units as well. Link's now moving in towards the 3rd once more, as they will get cleaned up. Serral believes he can move out, but I don't really buy this. I don't buy this at all, actually. Is this mine's gonna get cleared? Second mine's not gonna get cleared. That was a big hit. 10, 15 Links, 4 drones, as well as a Bane or 2. Maru trying to set up over at his 5th base. Mine count of 7. 99 workers. 99 workers. Is that going to be enough for his army? That is my question. Ooh, good. 3 splits here coming out of Serral, or the little splits in the moment even. Marauders tanking quite a bit though. Medevacs taking a lot of damage. We have the concussive shells. That means that it's difficult for these Hydras to piss off. Nidus starts in the main. Nidus finishes in the main. I didn't notice. And neither did Maru. This is gonna force him back a little bit. But honestly, so far, very solid defense of this difficult 5th base position. He has his planetary that is done right now. One thing I wouldn't mind for Maru to do is create like extra planetaries in kind of key locations. I think this is generally just underrated. It is something that I saw Clem do at... Was it Atlanta or Home Story Cup? I can't even recall. I think it was in Atlanta, where Clem would just, on Oceanborn specifically, just move a planetary into location to kind of secure that location. And it is a very cost-efficient play often. It really shuts down an area in a big, big way. Maru does need to be careful. He starts a second starport as well as a fusion core. Fungal Boy coming in from the back. Mines, can they connect? No, not really. This Fungal, however, does. And it connects in a very big way. 165 supply to 183. You have Maru kiting back right now. A couple of these changelings being taken out. And this Infestor burrowed underground. Alright, let's go. Another fight, one more fungal. Oh my god. How many more fungals can he hit? As there are no turrets nearby. Maru is not paying attention. These are some really poor fights out of Maru. Overall, resources lost still in favor of him. But this should have never been... Like, these fights should have been so much better. He literally got his entire army fungal twice now. And it shows in the supply. Another huge fungal here. Maru not paying attention. That was a big portion of the army once more. I do believe that Serral needs to piss off at this point. He needs to get a higher Bane count in order to seriously engage into a position like this. Maru continuing to get more and more command centers. Right now we're at 6 orbital commands with 1 command center done. Flying towards the 6th already. Good lord, he's spreading himself thin. Oi, 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 oi. That's a lot of bread and not a whole lot of butter, buddy. This is very scary. Because he still has an insanely high worker count, so I understand why he wants to take extra bases. But at the same time, his army quality isn't that good. Doesn't have sensor towers to predict these movements. This one isn't done yet. Now, finally we're gonna get a kill on an Infestor before the fight rather than after it cast 4 fungals. Yeah, I mean, this base is just not holdable. This was a naive play here coming out of Maru. Really just a naive play. Serral is just too good at knowing when something is happening. He always has links burrowed. He always has units somewhere. So when a base becomes active, Serral sees that as an opportunity. As a spot where he can engage. Trying to take that in a sneaky way. It feels silly as here comes an engagement. No fungal around this time. The Banelings do try to get big connections. He had some decent ones. But the Ghosts stay alive, and that is really the only thing that truly matters. But both Marauders and Mines can be rebuilt easily at a rapid pace. But Ghost, you need a lot of gas for. Good lord, another fungal. This is the 4th big fungal here that Serral has gotten right now. As he also ends up losing a bunch of Hydras here, so that fungal not quite having the payoff. Like, you need to still clear the Infestor. You know that it went back underground, right? This is silly at this point. It's like he's lacking object permanence. Serral here is getting fights that are way too cost efficient. Way too cost efficient. And the only reason are these Infestors that are burrowed and get the kills. We have no turrets still over here. We have some turrets being built in the middle area, but they're not being protected by a planetary. They're not being protected really by anything. That means they're just going to be taken out in the next fight. A couple of scans went down. I think probably an Infestor died as well. We have this Infestor on the high ground that's going to get taken out, most likely. No, he misses it. Oh my god. Extra turrets being added in. Sensor tower providing quite a bit of values. Nidus network starts. I cannot believe. If this works, I'll be so sad for Maru. Because he finally has a stable setup. And then this thing comes in and tries to ruin it. There's lurkers in here. It's going to be the first time he's seen those lurkers. Instantly burrows 2 links as well. Next to 17 turrets, which is interesting. Lurkers go back into their hole where they came from. Very neat play. Love the scan as well, despite having detection from 7 turrets. It can never be safe enough. Okay, there's some burrowed crappers nearby. Okay, here we go. Parasitic bombs are good. Vipers immediately retreat. A very good move out of Serral. I think this is something we don't see enough out of some of the other high-level Zergs, is that whenever Serral casts a spell with the Viper, rather than just having it kind of hang around aggressively, he immediately shift clicks it back. And it just gives him the ability to save them. Where usually we see high numbers of Vipers being lost, Serral so far hasn't lost a single Viper. And these Vipers have been built at like the 10-minute mark or so. So yeah, these Vipers are powerful. This base is important. I think Maru knows that. I know that. Serral knows that. This is an absolutely vital base. Both of these bases are absolutely vital bases. So Maru here is setting up with a Liberator. We have the defense with the Spore. Can this be moved further to the edge? I'm not sure if that's the case. Corruptor's now moving in. Will deal with the Liberator. As the Infestor behind the mineral line provides vision for the Nidus. Maru not quite paying attention. Now sees it happen. As a Liberator moves in to take out the 12 o'clock-ish base. Hydraulic Bane looking for an angle. As the Lurkers find an angle. Will maybe even be capable of taking out this Planetary. It's not being repaired currently. That is bad. Corruptor's moving in. It's kind of moving from side to side. As I'm fully expecting a new Liberator to show up here at some point. Or maybe even just like an 8 Marine drop that could go there. Would be kind of a big deal. Infestors get blasted as this position gets re-established. Oh, did he scout this? Oh my, what is this? You can't make this up. Here comes number 7 as the only safe spot here for the Infestor. As once again, Cheryl's gonna move in with all of the Banelings. Absolutely ridiculous play. Absolutely ridiculous play. Gets another trade. These trades are too... I mean, the resources lost in this matchup should never in a million years look like this. We don't have a Raven with this army. We don't have turrets here. And he's... Okay, now he's going to catch this one. And he has plenty of scans around, but you can't just miss it like he did in that previous fight. We have... How does Serral just sneak them in everywhere, by the way? Just has one hidden in absolutely every single location. It's hilarious to watch. This Nidus is trying to rotate. Oh my god, where did this guy come from? Double fungals here on this Ghost armies. And Maru is just getting destroyed here. Resources lost is almost in favor of Serral, which is not a thing. It's just not a thing. This just doesn't happen in this matchup. Yet it is happening in this matchup. Serral also mining both of his opponent's bases. So not only is he trading efficiently, he's also out-mining his opponent right now. He's gonna mine 2 bases more than his opponent if it continues to go like this. Well, if it continues to go like this, and this base never gets to do anything, maybe even more than that. This base has hardly been mining at all. Lurkers are gonna get taken out. Serral says, oh, it's good that you decided to take out my Lurkers. How well you're gonna do against my Ling Ultra. That's a lot of Corruptors. I feel like they could have gone in. They definitely could have gone in there. That is the first miss here out of Serral. It's a relatively minor one. Because yes, it is only 3-4 Liberators. But still, it is something. Serral still... He wants it though. He wants that. So he's going to bait these Liberators in forward. And then he's going to go in with the Corruptors. That's kind of what I'm feeling here as the general movement. Yeah, there we go. Sees that he's being under some heavy fire. No Overseer here, though, to clear the mines, which is actually a mistake. He's going to send an individual Corruptor to deal with that. Oh, my God. Oh, 2 more mines, though. Serral hadn't quite anticipated those. As he's still continuing to mine. As long as Serral is mining these 2 bases, he's winning so insanely hard, it's not even funny. The one thing I do... Second mistake here out of Serral is not mining these gases. Like, I love that he's mining the gases here on the bottom side, although he just started now with that. The fact that he didn't do that earlier and the fact that he's not doing it up here, which are the most vulnerable potential bases to a Terran push, is definitely a mistake. And really, it's kind of an unforgivable mistake as well. It's just a silly one. I don't entirely understand it. Here comes a good abduct. Here comes another good abduct. As Serral... Oh, he's going to lose his Infestor to a well-timed scan out of his opponent. Liberator count non-existent. That means that... How does he know? I guess he saw the Liberators move to the middle. He's just gonna poke in and check. And then, if he sees nothing, he's like, well, that's fun. Let's take out this base. And he's just gonna get to take out this base again. It feels that wherever Maru is, Serral isn't. Serral is just where Maru isn't. It is insanity. He's just dodging his main army, taking out a base and pissing off again. And then whenever he can get a fungal, he gets a fungal and he wins a fight. He's busy mining out his gold. Let's not forget that Maru still hasn't even attempted to take his gold. This base is still mining. We now have these gases being saturated. More and more command centers. Imagine you have a planetary here. As like a ramp defense mechanism. In my mind, that sounds huge. You can pretty much cut off this entire top part from there. In a way. Little sensor tower as well. It sounds good to me. I feel like you can view this map in many different ways. As we have a bunch of mines here. Mine count overall only at 7. It's interesting, by the way, is that it felt like the prevailing thought, the prevailing splash in the late game very often was tanks. But nowadays it seems that Terrans much prefer playing things like Mine Liberator. As that is both what Clem and Maru play, who I think are some of the best late gamers in the world. If not just... Actually, they're just the best late gamers in the world. I'm not sure why I'm trying to be careful there. Overly careful with my speech. Because they're definitely just the best. Maru has managed to establish his own 6th base here on the bottom side. As he's losing his top side 6th base. He needs to be careful that he doesn't also lose his 5th. There's not that much money there anymore anyway, but still. Could be an important area maybe to try and keep this general high ground portion. Baneling's trying to get connections as well with these ghosts, but the splits are good. As this general area is just well set up, I think, here. For Maru. Ooh, Liberators didn't siege in time. Corruptors coming in. Turrets are definitely helping out. Was this the first good fight that Maru has had this game? It felt like resources lost-wise. I mean, he's had some okay fights, but this was a good fight. He now gets the push as well. Serral needs to actually be careful. He hasn't mined that much from this base. He mined quite, maybe half-ish. A little bit over half, maybe half of the minerals and less than half of the gas. Maru are taking the bottom side. Another thing I appreciate is that Maru decides to take this base, but doesn't open up this area, which I think is a common mistake that Terrans make. This area is so vital for the survival of the Terran third and just the integrity of the natural and the main base. Like once you start having your production threatened every single time you move towards the top side of the map, that's generally not a very good thing. Liberators being repaired. I love how high this lip count is, by the way, or how high it was before. I thought it was like 8, 9 or 10. Now it's only at 6. I'd love to see a couple more being produced. Topside base. I think Maru here is... Does he really want to be here? I'm not sure if he does. Top base being taken by Serral is hilarious to me. Maru scans it. It's like, oh my god, can you just knock it off? Absolute tryhard. I don't think that was a cancel, by the way. This infestor gets spotted. Oh, good lord. There's so many scans going down, and he has to. He absolutely has to. The only way that Zerg is going to get a good fight against this type of army is by hitting a fungal or two. And right now these fungals just aren't really happening. +2 ship weapons on the way. Couple of sites going down. Maru spreading himself quite thin, but it feels like at this point he probably can't. Look at the turret count here. Turret Liberator mine as a defensive setup. Maru's going to move back with this base. It's not ready yet to venture off into these wild lands. Off the top left. Gold is about to run dry as well, by the way, on Maru's side. This base still mining is huge. This base being reset up for Serral is unrealistic. I understand why he's doing it, but it is simply unrealistic. Caduceus reactor being researched. You know it's a real late game. This is the sign of a real late game, is when the medevac energy upgrade gets researched. We're gonna be walking into a pretty decently sized fight, a mediocre fungal hit. There are a lot of Banes, but there's just too many units here. This, I'm not sure what this was. I guess okay-ish for Serral, because he's gonna get a lot of damage here as well. 18 workers going down, keeps the Lynx alive. That is the crazy thing, right? It's when you watch Serral play, it's not just that he's doing multiple things at the same time, but he's executing all of these things very quickly as well, at a very high pace. He is just so darn fast. His mechanics are so good. He understands what needs to happen in these games. Now with an instant rotation towards the bottom side, he's gonna get some good value for his units here, taking out this turret farm. No payback on those turrets here, Maru, as he's gonna lose a planetary as well. 25 workers left for our Terran player, but boy is his army still big. 131 supply of freaking 13 Ghosts, 5 Mines, 16 Marauders, and 27 Marines. The problem is that he doesn't have the gas to get anything else. He's now trying to establish this bottom side base. Serral instantly retakes the top, and I'm completely expecting Serral to be moving towards that top side, to either clear these turrets, to go in towards this orbital, to force him away from there. There's still gas here that could be mined, and gas is a very, very important resource at the moment for Maru, because he can quickly get those minerals, but he can't quickly get the gas. So we're seeing basically pure Marine Marauder production at this point. That's not quite what we want. That is not quite what we want. We get an Abduct in here, Corruptors will help out, as Serral will need to give up this fight. Still has an army on the top left as well, either for a defense against drops or just to go for a little run by himself. I'm waiting for that to be sent in at some point. Are there any infestors burrowed? I don't see them, and neither does Maru, but there is one in the far back. He's gonna move into the scan range. A pretty big blunder there by Serral. Definitely a mistake, because without those infestors, without those fungals, it's so darn hard to engage into a Terran army. Maru stays alive for now. Doesn't actually have that big of an army anymore. Serral right now with a bigger army. 136 army supply against 123. Just because Maru isn't capable of maxing out, and that is an issue. Planetary at the gold, orbital here on the bottom side. Only 7 patches remain. No extra gases being taken though on that 6 o'clock base. A little bit disappointing. Watchtower, of course, providing a lot of value when it comes to setting up defensive engagements. Here comes a big army. Changelings will spot it. And I think Serral will need to give up this base once more. Yeah, the base cost him more than it gained him. Serral also believes, though, that if a lot of Marauders and Marines aren't here, maybe you can go for a fight, but that also doesn't entirely ring true. You have a defensive rotation coming out of Maru. This base is being retaken here. Queens and drones. Just chilling in that Nidus. Once again gonna move back into the Nidus. Serral now says, okay, alright, this is my time to shine. I think there was an infestor burrow there at the Watchtower. Just got taken out by a good scan. We're 30 minutes into the game. Banelings and Ultras trying to hit units. At the same time, Ultra and Lynx are hitting SCVs. This was not a brilliant fight for Serral. I actually think this was a really bad fight. He did not get done what he needed to. Didn't really kill the base either. Was quite a bit in resources. Needs to be careful, because Maru isn't losing a whole lot of army anymore. Serral isn't mining that much anymore. So if this bottom base gets any amount of mutes, I actually think that this might be the most important area right now. And Serral's going to be spreading a bit of creep there. Or at least moving his queens and dudes in. Queens and drones. I think both players really valuing that top side at the moment. Maru still seriously lacking gas, by the way. Only 200 in the bank. That's the one thing that Serral does have that's real nice for him. This game is... It doesn't feel scary yet if you look at the stats, but it also does feel scary. Like, this is going to be an important moment here. Serral tries to go in. Is not going to get the fungal off as the infestor gets killed before it gets to cast anything. And this is not the fight that Serral wanted at all. Yes, he gets Marauders. Yes, he gets Marines, but the Ghosts stay alive. You lose a bunch of units to snipe. You lose... Oh my god, lose a bunch of Lynx here to Mines as well. Serral here Losing about 2k in that trade, and Maru lost about 10 supply. Those things are not the same. 12 more Corruptors on the way. Which is interesting as well, because there's already 11 out. This has to be for Brood Lords. It is the only thing that makes any sense whatsoever to me. Is Serral saying, hey, the bottom base, you can have it. But this top base, it's going to be mine. I want to focus on just a single part of the map here. And that part of the map is going to be the top side. I want to have Brood Lords, I want to have Infestors, and I want to start pushing forward probably with Spine Walls or Spore Walls. Ultras moving up top. I mean, this number just for Corruptors makes legitimately no sense, right? How many is it? 23? That is a crazy number of Corruptors. Unless it's just to kill the Medivacs, but I also don't know. It's gonna get 3 more? Is Serral misreading this game? Is Serral completely misreading this game? This has to be Brood Lords. It cannot be anything but Broods. It's gonna go up to 26. It just has to be Brood Lords. It can't, yeah. It can't not be Broods. It's not possible. Queens here being taken out. That is 1, that is 2. Maru's army is growing. Maru's eco is better right now. Serral's gonna have higher army value. Well, actually, that's not even the case. That is not even the case. Maru right now has a huge army, and for Serral only has 1 fight in him. Transitioning here into the Brutes. Now, there's not a good anti-Brute army. We see Vikings being produced. Ghosts need to come in to try and snipe. Fungal hits the main army. A lot of energy on these Medivacs, and a lot of healing beams are going down, but the Brutes are slowly but surely chewing through this Marauder Ghost Force. As I don't think a single Brute has gone down quite yet. No, it hasn't. What an absolutely bonkers game here, in which Maru somehow, some way managed to come back into it, but now doesn't have the correct comp at all. Like, not even close. This Infestor is gonna get busted, though. Serral hasn't paid attention to this bottom side base. He could just send a Ling Run by and 2 Corruptors to deal with that, but he is not aware of that right now. And he just doesn't care, because it's all about this top side. That is where the urgency is, on the top of this map. Vikings moving in. It's just 2 of them, though. Only with +2 ship weapons as well. Isn't even fully upgraded on the Vikings. Maru struggling to get the gas. Maru struggling to get the minerals. He's only mining with single workers in this gas. And he's just not muling because he's so busy scanning. Deadly afraid of the burrowed Infestor. As the Overseers are moving in. Good lord. Infestor's being sniped from the back. Good move there with those 2 ghosts. Didn't entirely catch it, but I saw the end result, which was the dead Infestor. That is good news. Corruptors moving in. Parasitic Bomb could be cast. We have a Fungal on top of the Vikings as well. 1 or 2 Brutes are now going down. Maru with a lot of snipes here. As the ground force of Serral decides to move in. No Banes connecting with the topside Ghost. A lot of the Marauders going down, but the Ghosts are still around. Oh. 7 Brutes versus 7 Ghosts. Ground army non-existent for either player, really. One problem that Serral has right now is that a lot of his army is in these Corruptors. We have more Vikings on the way, and right now Serral is actually gambling. Serral is building another Brute. So Serral says, hey, you're probably not going to be building more Vikings. You probably want to build maybe a Thor or some Ghost, and in that case you could take out my Brutes, so I want more Brutes. In reality, though, we have Vikings on the way. I think it would be a huge move here out of Maru to not show these Vikings yet. To wait for a second. Say, hey, I want to first get 8, 9, 10 Vikings before I show them to you. That's not what he's doing. He's just straight up gonna move in. Because that might allow his opponent to stop building Brutes. That allows Serral to stop building Brutes. If Serral builds 2, 3, 4 more Brutes and completely has no Corruptors left, that would be brilliant. So hide those Vikings. Every second you can hide these Vikings longer is a brilliant second. But this is gonna be the end of that hiding. Does he cancel the Brood after scouting this? No, but he starts new Corruptors. We have a Raven finally being produced. Holy cow. 36 minutes of getting fungled over and over and over again. And here comes the Raven. Also for anti-armor, huge against Corruptors, especially if you have Vikings. That is -2 armor upgrade. Snipe don't quite go off as the fungal gets the hit. We have long distance mining for both players. This is such an insane situation. This is such an insane... Look at it, they're just happily mining together. Oh my god. This is a magical late game over here. Here comes a snipe. Takes out Sniper. That's a very important unit. What's the Overseer count? We're at 3? 5. 5 Overseers. Okay, here come the Vikings. Gonna snipe 1 Overseer. That is big. That is very big. Don't forget, Terran practically with map hack over here. Should be capable of figuring everything out. These are the last minerals on the map. These are the last minerals on the map. About 1,500 minerals left. Whoever's gonna get these minerals will most likely be the winner of this game. It is too much money to let go. They can't let it go. And here comes Serral. Serral's gonna make a play for it. Has a single spore. Is that the only spore? He has one more spore somewhere else. Not sure if Serral is aware of that. Oh, he's a burrowed infestor as well. It's gonna get scanned. It's gonna get scanned. EMP hits a lot of these infestors. Has a big fungal on top of the Medivacs. Another fungal on top of the Medivacs. Should be trying to split maybe a little bit. It's not quite what is happening. As Serral, with a continuing creep spread, is going to secure this area for himself. Doesn't want to build a hatchery. Just wants to long distance mine with as many drones as possible. And is actually outmining his opponent. Has an income of about 400 mules here being thrown down. One of them actually takes away some minerals from his opponent. Doesn't quite get to bring it home though. Cute move out of Maru. The income continues to rise here for Serral, and I think the longer that this goes on, the better it's gonna get for Serral. As long as his anti-air is good enough, he will win. He will simply win. He has more Corruptors than his opponent has Vikings. He has 11 Infestors, and on top of that, he also has these Vipers. You know what I think? I think that Neural Parasite here, which he has, would actually be a very viable thing to cast. A very, very good thing to have here. If you can just take over 1 or 2 of these Vikings, that's a huge deal. Instantly. You can even taking over our Medivac would be big. Can you heal Broodlords with a Medivac? Ooh. One moment of not paying attention and just like that, about 50 minerals get stolen by these mules. Of course, the mules die, but there's no scrap laying around of these minerals. No mineral, what would you even call them? Like a bunch of minerals together. This mule didn't quite get to finish his animation. Is Maru playing for a draw here? Is that what he's doing? Is that even possible? He just has half the army supply. Maybe you go into your own main? So if I'm Maru, the way that I go about it is that I want to fight at planetaries and then you go to the main, right? That is probably the best play to go for. Serral's just going to have a lot of units though. Serral also needs to be really careful because if at any point, like you don't have vision of your opponent, but imagine, oh, just GG's? All right. 2-0 in favor of Serral. I'm just a little bit surprised that he decided to leave. Yeah, I feel like he could have tried maybe fighting earlier or could have maybe tried going for a draw. I don't think it would have worked. But, and if I'm sitting there for 40 minutes, God knows I'm trying for a draw. I'd actually would try that. Some nice control though. So Maru doesn't seem to, seem to be too shook by it. Being down 2-0 against Serral ain't great. But at least you got a kill there on the Reaper. So it's not the end of the world. Hardlet also a good map for Terran, of course. So it's going to be much nicer for him here. Triple CC is what we're getting out of Serral. Or so out of Serral. So we're getting out of Maru. Serral also technically playing triple CC, just with Zerg. And it's pretty much a standard with Zerg, so it doesn't really count. Now, there's a couple of follow-ups that are possible here for Maru. We could be seeing another Banshee build, although the positioning of the buildings doesn't really feel like that. I'm kind of feeling like a Viking into maybe Stim, although we have some Marine production here. It's going to be the second Marine that gets built. As the second gas also has started right now. Cyril, meanwhile, just playing as... Ooh, I was going to say playing a standard opener, but it's actually with a Roach Warren. This is a fairly quick Roach Warren. This is not a defensive Roach Warren, so I'm expecting, yep, a second gas, even a third gas. The more gas you take, the more all-in it usually becomes. Because the economy resource is minerals. Less minerals you have, less eco you have. The more gas you have, the more tech and, you know, units and that type of stuff. So he's going to build a couple of overlords, Cyril that is. And we'll saturate both of these gases. I wonder if it's going to go full 3-3. Yeah, it's going to go... Well, not entirely full. Not sure what this is. Okay, there we go. Pulls in. It's going to get a lot of Ravagers with this. And this is such an unlucky opener for Maru. Has been keen on his Banshees before, at least in game number 1. And then on Roodhuset played fairly greedy, but then again it's Roodhuset. So what you're going to do about it? 6 Roaches coming out, and Maru needs to get an early read on this. It is absolutely vital that he gets an early read on this. Either with the Viking, which is now going to move over to try and kill an Overlord over here, or with the Hellion Reaper. But the Hellion Reaper is staying at home. So he's maybe afraid of like a Ling run by or some type of attack. This thing is going to get pushed back. Queens need to move over to deal with that. Roaches, oh my god. What a ballsy play here out of Cyril, saying, hey, I saw your Reaper Hellion on the left side. That means that most likely you're moving towards the other side right now. These Roaches are going to get spotted fairly late. We'll start fighting the cars as well. The cars start fighting back, which is not entirely what I had expected, but it's going much better than I would have thought as well. 4 Ravagers start instantly, with a 5th one soon to follow. More and more links being built behind this. This is a well-executed Roach Ravager Ling all-in, and this is really all in. There are no drone rounds behind this. This is pure Ling, no tech, no nothing. If Stim finishes up, this is brilliant here for Maru. He has 2 bunkers done. He's gonna get a 3rd one as well. Liberator is in position. Viking should definitely land here. So both of these depots are gonna fall. That means that... Oh, he's gonna get supply block, but the tank has already started. That is big supply drop in the main base. Ravagers start hitting the bunkers, but they need to go one by one. And it is a long and tiring process often here, as he doesn't even get that bunker. Now, the supply block is hurting Maru a decent amount. No marine production whatsoever. It's not nice. As the first bunker is going to get taken out. No, Liberator gets blasted first. SCV's going down. Lynx getting on top of these bunkers as well. Still a bunch of Hellions remaining. The control there is good. Tank is going to siege up on the high ground. As we have Stim finished, but not a single Marine due to the supply block. Tank will set up, and I think that at least for now, it feels like Maru has held. Cyril, however, isn't done. We have another wave of links here. These 1-1 upgrades are so big. The fact that they're in the natural... Oh, no. I don't want to call it a blunder, but it is a huge thing here. Now moving too far forward, perhaps, as well. Away from the ramp. Gets surrounded by these links. As I don't think Maru has enough anymore. Might be capable of holding on because there's not that many links still coming across the map. But what a terrible, terrible situation once more. Cyril not done yet. It's going to go for the eBay. Maru just gives up. He says, I can't play this. 23 workers is too little here, despite having triple CC and despite having Stim. Cyril puts himself on match point. And Alcyone will be the map where Cyril can take out Maru potentially. In his Intellect Stream Masters Katowice 2024 Grand Finals. Ooh. Second Rex Proxy. Or a Scout for the gold. So something that Maru has been employing against Dark, I want to say it was, where I saw this. That he tries to get a Scout on the gold. If there is a gold, he goes back and builds like a barracks over here or over here and gets a quick Reaper with it. And if there's no gold... Ooh, he's still going to build a barracks. No matter what happens, a barracks is being built. A barracks indeed is being built. So it's just going to be a proxy 2-Rex Reaper. Or maybe even a 3-Rex Reaper. We could still have a 3rd barracks going up in the main base. Although that is not super likely. I don't think so, at least. I saw Clem do this against... I want to say it was against Shin. That Clem played a 3-Rex Reaper. If I'm not mistaken. Overlord's moving towards the top side of the map. The orbital starts. Here we go. Maru gonna be the guy who's in control of this game. All that Cyril can do is respond. And this is really difficult, by the way, huh? Oh, you need to leave the SCV out. That's actually frustrating there for Maru, because there's going to be a 2-3 second delay on that Reaper. I hate it when that type of stuff happens. I almost feel like, oh, is that actually going to get spotted? He sees it come back. Instantly starts 4 links. It wouldn't surprise me if it gets one more set of links here. So Overlord, then one more set of links, which is not standard. Which is not standard at all. Yeah, that's exactly what... Overlord, one more set of links. That SCV scout Maru, so sloppy there. So sloppy. With the execution of this build. First of all, getting the SCV stuck on the inside, then lifting it. And then showing the SCV to the opponent here is a bit of a blunder. It really is a bit of a blunder. There's going to be one extra set of links. First drone, however, goes down. Execution here is phenomenal. That's a second drone as well. That is a lot of damage here initially. CC going down at home as well for Maru. Is he going to get another one? No, walks right into a queen. Is this 5 Reaper or 4 Reaper? What are we looking at? It's going to be triple CC. Probably 4 or 5. 4 Reapers total. Reactor most likely at home. Ooh, factory first. Then a reactor. Like this build. Love this build. Love to see it. Reapers, of course, still have good damage output. One is Reaper a little bit bruised up. Nice maneuver. It's gonna lose one more though. Might even lose a third. I don't think this was worth it here for Maru at all. I don't think this was worth it. On top of that, he's also been scouted. He's been exposed for what he is. A triple CC player after 4 Reapers. And this ain't great. I love this build, by the way. I think this build is absolutely beautiful, but lacking in the execution. Taking out 3 workers, don't think it's going to be enough. 3 links on top of that. Yeah, third base is fairly delayed. Oh, I'm just thinking something. Imagine you get to keep the Reapers alive. You put your barracks here, and then you build a bunker next to it. So there's not so much surface area. I wonder if that's good. Because you're... on maps where it's easy to block a third and there's no realistic alternate third base. So like Oceanborn, for example. I wonder if that's any good. I bet that would be real good. I guess you do end up losing a barracks though, which isn't great. Doesn't matter losing a barracks if you're planning on playing mech. Which is exactly what Maru is planning on doing. 3 factory behind this. He's trying his best to hide it as well. This Overlord is on a journey to become a better Overlord. Then hopefully going for a scout. Worker count is 34 to 40. And honestly, the game... I can't recall if... I remember seeing Maru versus Raynor, the mech game. And it was on this map as well. And I remember watching that thinking, man, that looks strong. That looks freaking strong. Maru looks like a beast. As I was watching that, that's what I was thinking. It's like this. He looks like a beast when he plays mech. And I'm surprised that we've had to wait so long to see it. However, if Maru, of course, gets a cheeky little W here, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes for a repeat. Takes the 4 gases. Cyclone production has started. Serral, pretty unaware as to what is kicking off. Pretty unaware indeed. He hasn't even built extra like reactors or tech labs. He's just naked building crap. Oi, 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 oi. This feels almost like an all-in. This almost feels like an all-in. If it weren't for him producing workers, like the setup here feels so all-in. So it's gonna, at least it's gonna be a very hard-hitting timing, right? That is the one thing we can say. Or at least it's intended to be a hard-hitting timing, because he's cutting reactors to increase, like have a short spike. Now, of course, over a longer period of time, this is just bad for you because the reactor increases your production. But for a small spike initially, this can be extremely useful. That's what we're going to be seeing here. How many cyclones do we have? We have 4. That's lower than I thought it would be. 2 more on the way. Cyclones now get spotted. He just continues naked building them, by the way, so he wants to just continue going. Keep a steady amount of pressure on this. Cyclones being pulled back. Queen count is phenomenal here. What is that, 12? 10 queens. All of them here at the front, I think. No injects going down in the main. Ling run by being sent out. Banelings will be used defensively. Will Maru be ready for it as he's taken out, well, 3 queens already in total. Here comes the Ling counterattack. Is that a counterattack or is it the pick of reinforcements? It could be either. Serral actually in a world of trouble here, despite the solid hold early on. This feels dangerous. Baneling speed is about to finish up. That's going to be big. The control on these Cyclone Hellions is so good. Off creep, you're just not connecting with this. Here comes a link flank. Here comes a link flank. And this is the moment that Serral has been waiting for. He's going to connect with a lot of these Banes as well. As the Cyclones kite back. Queens will stay alive, and so will the Cyclones. Another big scan forward. Almost feel like having a floating barracks here might have been useful. Blue Flame about to finish up. We don't have an armory behind this. Otherwise, Hellbats, of course, could be there in the near future. Maru right now taking an actual eco lead. And Serral is just getting owned. He's getting owned here by this mech style. He doesn't know how to fight against it. We're not seeing any reactors being built on this barracks, which actually saddens me a little bit in a way. I feel like there would be an easy way to improve what Maru is already doing very well. This looks so freaking strong though. We're gonna have a flank. This time the flank has Banes as well. Maru's gonna try to break through on the right side, see if he can escape. Good split. And is gonna continue chasing. Still up 12 workers. Serral doesn't dare building an extra drone. He's so afraid of dying right now. That's Maru in firm control here. Off this map. Firm control. Up 12 workers. Starting his double armories. We're still just lacking the reactors. I am shocked to not see that. I really am. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to anyone who understands the function of a reactor. This was not the greatest fight. I feel like a lot of Hellions went down there. But in a way, trading out for Maru is probably good because he's outmining his opponent. In quite a big way. Well, for how much longer is the question here. Is these links probably going to move away to try and turn into Banelings. It seems like such a typical Zerg play. For now, it's just going to keep him here, though. Neat little rotation. Going to try and shoot down that Roach Horn. It's going to get it. Or it's almost going to get it. Or is going to get it. Cloudy Constitution has been denied. No roach speed on these roaches. It's kind of pathetic. They look like losers. Banelings indeed have been morphed here on the left side. Hatchery gets cancelled. And Maru knows as well. He looks at those links moving away. He's like, all right, you have 6 links left over. Do I really believe you're going to send 6 links in to try and kill me? No, of course not. You're going to turn it into Banes. Oh, you think I was born yesterday? Serral here coming. Ooh. I like this plan. Baneling run by from an unexpected angle. It's going to take away one of these mineral patches with the drone. Morph some Banes. Then send them in. I think that's a good play. So now we have tech labs here as Maru is transitioning into full-on mech. Fort base floating over. $84 workers to 69. Is Serral actually just gonna all in? Is he just all in off of lair attack? And this game looks really, really bad right now for a Finnish Zerg player. It's gonna catch some of these Cyclones as well as that Hellion most likely. And this just isn't look... The thing is that you're just not expecting this to happen. You have full map control, full vision on the left. So looking at the mini-map would actually be dumb. But then this happens, and then all of a sudden it would have been smart. 16 workers is quite a big deal. That was a necessity here. This was absolutely necessary for Serral to do something like that. Without that, I'm not saying he's dead, but he's not alive anymore. And he's dead. 1-1 finishes up here for Maru. Lots of tanks defensively. Would love to see 2-2 start instantly. Send it. Ghost Academy as well as one more barracks, I think. These are just... This is just the natural transition process that I believe we're in. Maru maybe has another plan. Maybe wants to push first. There's an interesting thing that's happening here is that usually when you're playing mech, your opponent is going to hit mechs with Vipers way before you hit mech. You hit mechs with them as the mech army. So you can never really do a maxed out push because Vipers will just eat you alive. This time, however, 180 supply push out. I mean, is technically possible because the Vipers are so late. Has he scanned for that? I don't think he has, because he hasn't scanned in a while. He must just have this instinctual feeling that something is off. That Serral isn't powerful, that Serral won't have Vipers. And I like this push. I really do like this push. It is fairly committed, and at the same time we see Serral coming in with a run-by. Wait, this is an orbital? That being an orbital is actually a very expensive little play here out of Maru. It's gonna lose him a bunch of tanks, a lot of workers. And that's going to make this way more committed than it was. And I already said it is quite committed. Ravager count is good. Banelings trying to move forward. Do not get the connections though with the Cyclones. Tanks in the back definitely helping out. Needs a scan here for the high ground. If he does not get that, it's going to be pretty scary. I guess that this tank is still providing some vision. 18 workers going down there. Really freaking sucked. Ravager count remains high. Very high. 2-2 is about to finish up. Vipers haven't started yet. So this push continues. I actually think not having a planetary here is a huge deal at the moment. This is an absolutely huge deal. Hellions need to stay at home. They need to turn into Hellbats defensively to deal with these Lings. As Maru pushes forward, loses a tank there. But these Cyclones are putting in a lot of work. We'll take out a couple of these drones as well. Another tank here is going to get taken out, but 2 Ravagers also fall. 170 supply to 142. Ling run by. Getting a W. Burrow not quite done yet. That's definitely what these Lings want to do. At least force out another scan as they will end up falling. I think there also were some Lings over here. I saw something happening on the minimap at least. We have another run by coming in. Just pure Ling. No Banelings quite yet. Almost no cash in the bank here for Serral, who has constructed his first 2 Vipers right now. Another Ling run by being sent in. This time though, Cyclone's in position. Could go for a scan and take it out. Lings in the third are going to try to clear this Cyclone. Barely not going to be capable of doing that. At the same time, we have a very large fight here on the bottom side. Blinding Clouds just hit everything as Maru is going to get cleaned up and will need to tuck his tail and run. Because he is not in a great spot here. He's going to take out a lot of workers on the left. Which is good. That is actually very powerful. If this orbital was a planetary, this game would be completely different. If there was a sensor tower at this base, this game would be completely different. Like, Serral is really squeezing water out of stone here. And he's doing it again and again. Maru's looking at him. He's like, oh, surely that stone at this point is pretty freaking empty, no? It's like, Maru's like, no. And Serral's like, no, look at this. Use his pinky for like the outer ends of the stone. Like, more water. 13 Banes now on the way. +3 hasn't started for Maru. Despite having very good eco, doesn't believe that he can afford it. Okay, there we go. Vehicle weapons level 3 on the way. We have burrowed Lings here on the right side. Gonna try and take it. Well, no, they're just gonna take out this tank. Not just gonna try. They will succeed at taking out that tank. Absolutely. That was way closer than I thought it was gonna be. Adrenal Glands has just started. And this base is toast. Well isolated. And thus an easy target here for Serral, who with the help of his Vipers is going to start trading much better than he has this entire game. And so far he's been trading pretty darn well as well. So yeah, this game, Serral has no business of winning this game. Absolutely. After the start, after how much damage that Hellion Cyclone push did, how well that went, there's no business. He just has no business. Absolutely none. What a crazy powerful build though out of Maru. Copyable build as well. Like, you look at that build and you think, yeah, we can copy that. We definitely can copy that. Another Ling run by coming in here. This is just the weak spot of Maru's defense, who now is actually... He just is all in. He is just all in. This is like, there's nothing else here. He's just all inning at this point. 40 workers. So he's lost 39 in the past minute or so. The Ravager still alive as Serral is inching towards his championship as he takes out Maru with a 4-0 score. What an absolutely insane series. Just humiliating his opponent here in the best of 7. Holy cow. I mean, Maru played well, particularly in game 2. And I think in this one as well. They're just solid builds. But here the Orbital just has the weak spot. Insane performance out of Serral, who wins the Intellect Stream Masters Katowice. That's another 150 grand on his bank account. Of course, after paying taxes and all of that stuff, but still. Decent chunk of cash. Can play a lot of golf with that, buddy. A lot of golf clubs. Yeah, congrats to him. And thanks, Maru, for playing the role as the victim. That was fantastic too. Serral, truly the most dominant player ever in StarCraft II. No doubt in my mind. All right, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you all enjoyed this series. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see all of you next time for a new video. Bye-bye.